Did you watch The Thing?
I did watch the thing.
I did watch The Thing as well. It was a thing.
It was a thing.
Too much energy.
やあみんな久しぶり元気だったかなさあビーストウォーズの始まりだ
たままのこのパワー体中で浴びろ光自然のシャワー何が善で悪で丸め込んでやめろ向かう正義の力生き抜け誰のため逃げちゃダメ全宇宙の平和願ってロボットだってサイバトロンパワーは全開デストロンのメッカ全てこれで破壊心の隅に住み着く邪悪な野望見失いかけたすぐそこに希望どんな流れこれでどれも何の勝利への鍵握る今日もいつも立ち止まることはしないだって惑星を守り通す光になって今だ戦い
Good evening, Lyos and Convoys. Welcome to episode 129 of Too Much Energon, the podcast where we talk about Beast Wars shit and talk shit about Beast Wars. Coming to you live from a new mysterious floating mountain on a new, not planet Energon, planet Gaia. I am Sejo Convoy himself, one of your hosts.
And coming to you from a mysterious crater made out of pure evil almost is me, Neo Convoy.
Neo Convoy, nice.
Yeah.
And this week on Too Much Energon, we're changing the name to Too Much Angle Slam.
Too much angle slam.
Because Energon apparently isn't a thing anymore. We're talking about the Japanese Beast Wars. We're finally here. We've covered everything else at this point. And
we're finally here.
We're finally here, and we're giving the people what they want. You see.
Damn it.
And we've had a number of people ask us to review the Japanese Beast Wars. So here we are, born to be kings.
Born to be kings.
This week on Too Much Energon, we are talking about Beast Wars 2nd, Super Lifeform Transformers, Episode 1. The gang is all here.
The gang is all here.
I can't remember what the episode's called.
You had said there's no Energon, but they still need... I'm getting ahead of myself. Right. They still need animal forms. I have questions for Siege, is what I'm saying.
I also have questions.
Oh, we have questions for each other.
We have questions for each other. Yeah, okay, so this is the first episode of Beast Wars 2nd, Super Lifeform Transformers. The new forces arrive. It originally aired on April 1st of 1998, and how appropriate is that?
Right? No, it's real.
Yes, it is real. Before we get into that, though, Cal, what's new? What's going on in the world of Neo Cal?
I just participated in the summer Extra Life.
Oh, yes,
tabletop appreciation weekend.
Yes,
you even popped your head in and.
I donated some money. See, here's the thing. I donated one of the things was you would do a celebrity impression as an NPC at the $15 range.
Mm-hmm.
I donated $15. I donated $15 Canadian, which registered as 1106 American. So I didn't get to hear you do Jeff Goldblum because of the exchange rate.
You know what? I also didn't see any message that was associated with it. Okay, right. Next time for free. Okay. Because there's one in November.
Okay.
One of the NPCs that, because I'm probably going to run games again. One of the NPCs is going to just start off as Jeff Goldblum. How about that?
Nice.
So what Siege is referring to was an Extra Life. I was a player in some Dork Tales games. That were running charity for Children's Miracle Network over last weekend. But I ran a game. and you need to be fairly okay at improv. And one of the prices weren't really that important, but it's weird. You need to attach a message to it and that kind of thing. And one of the things that the DMs or the GMs or the storytellers do is for different donations, they have different rewards. And one of mine was like $15, and one of the NPCs is just voiced like a celebrity of your choosing.
Nice.
And you know what? After the game was finished, I was like, I wonder what Siege's, because there was no message attached to it, or at least I didn't see one. I was like, I wonder what Siege. It was Jeff Goldblum. Damn it, I missed.
Yeah,
like I just knew. I was like, why would see? Oh, it was for Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
Shit. But yeah, I ended up getting $1,000 anonymous donation.
I saw that. Yeah, that was freaking.
And I was like,
that definitely wasn't from me.
Definitely wasn't for me.
Well, yeah. If you end up running another game and I kind of want to actually give playing a game a shot.
Sweet.
It's been a number of years since I've tried, and I don't know. I feel like I might be more into it now than I was when I was younger.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Maybe
it's basically what we do whenever we go into like our skits.
Right. So if you end up doing a game like something like sci-fi related, keep me in mind.
I should do a sci-fi related thing.
I actually I really want to do like a Star Trek themed campaign, because I've been really into
a campaign.
I've been really into Star Trek lately. I mean, I've been into Star Trek my entire life, but I've been watching a lot of Star Trek lately.
The hype has been
I just finished season 2 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, and that is quite literally the best Star Trek show in decades. And
really?
And this is coming from, it's a prequel to the original series. This is coming from someone who generally doesn't like prequels. So I'm giving it high praise.
I can't think of a single prequel that you thought was as good. No, yeah, you're genuinely not a prequel guy, but you like that.
I'm not a fan, generally not a fan of prequels, because
hell, you're not even a fan of most of the Star Trek shit that's come out in the last 2 decades.
No, not since Enterprise, which was also a prequel.
You liked.
I actually,
yeah, that's true. Actually,
I just rewatched through season. I had started a rewatch of Star Trek Enterprise a couple of years back, but I only got to the end of season 3, so I went through season 4 recently. That show's underrated, in my opinion. I really like Enterprise.
Yeah, and I really like Scott
Bakula.
Bakula. I'm like
Mr.
Dracula?
Quantum Leap.
Mr. Because I grew up watching Quantum Leap with my grandma. So seeing him, like, what is there, 15-ish years between those two shows? Longer?
10 maybe.
Is it only 10 maybe? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if I watched it when I was young, then
yeah,
10. I kind of felt like I went into it biased, but I never caught a lot of it. College, not having cable, like that kind of thing growing up. But I've seen 2 episodes, the premiere of that, and the episode that we watched. And the episode that we watched was just like, that was just splendid. Like,
yeah, it was
I enjoyed that. Yeah.
And it was just a random one-off episode.
It was just a random one-off episode that lends nothing to the story, but it captures, like, it was the anybody that doesn't watch our Lasercomb podcast, it was like one of those ones where I kept making enemy mine references, where one of the crew is stranded on a planet with like an alien.
Yeah, or
they try to kill each other, but then they have to work together.
It's reminiscent of the Next Generation episode Darmok as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was just good because like the characters were different.
Yeah. And that episode, I would suggest giving some other episodes a shot, because that episode mostly just focused on Commander Tucker.
Yeah.
Whereas, which I really like. I like most of the characters in that show, especially I like Captain Archer. I like T'Pol. I like Dr. Phlox is my favorite character on the whole show.
He was only in that for like the last 5 minutes of that episode, but I can see why.
Yeah, he's delightful.
This guy.
And I really like Hoshi for a number of reasons.
The episode that we had reviewed, and
I don't think Hoshi was in it.
It was like 95%. It was just Trip.
Yeah, with a few like, shots of them on the bridge.
Figuring out how to save them.
Yeah.
Also, the stakes are different in the prequel. Well, what I mean is, I know we're not. Well, all this stuff is sci-fi related. You're watching us review a Japanese cartoon about beast formers, so you get to hear about. You probably like Star Trek.
Probably.
I'd be shocked if you're listening to this. Let us know if you're just like not a Star Trek person. I'd be very, 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 or a wrestling fan, or a metalhead. I'd be very surprised.
A coworker of mine earlier, I had said something, and she made a Star Wars reference, and I was like, as a Star Trek fan, do not make Star Wars reference. I'm offended by your Star Wars references. And she's like, well, as a Star Wars fan, I'm offended by Star Trek. And I'm like, hey now, you shush, or I'm gonna like lock photon torpedoes at you. She laughed. Anyway, where I was going with the whole prequel thing, God, I can't even remember. I completely lost my train of thought.
We had a train of thought there.
I had a train of thought, and it's gone.
And it's gone. Oh, the new.
Anyway, yeah, Strange New Worlds is the best Star Trek show since Enterprise.
I think I might like it because whenever people are like, why did you like Voyager so much? I was like, because it's just kind of people out on their own without like the safety blanket of the Federation.
Well, and Strange New Worlds, it kind of is a back to basics approach for Star Trek, which it gets back to the whole there is an overarching like story arc, but for the most part the episodes are pretty self-contained, and it's quite literally about like discovering new things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I want to see that shit.
Modern Star Trek like lost sight of that, in my opinion, and Strange New Worlds gets it. There's an episode where one of the characters figures out that the way that these like harmonic sounds that they're hearing in this like sphere that they're in is actually like a life form trying to communicate with them, and she figures out how to like communicate just using like musical like harmony. Like it's cool.
That reminds me of original series kind of.
Yeah,
stuff where they find weird shit and just try to talk to it.
But yeah. So anyway, there's an episode where in the new season where the two main characters from Star Trek Lower Decks, which is the animated comedy, which it took me a while to get on board with, but I am finally.
Okay, see, I'm like 3 episodes in, and then but you said it gets better.
Yeah.
It got better.
There's one episode of Strange New Worlds where the two main characters end up because Lower Decks is set after like Next Generation and Voyager and Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, it's out there. Yeah.
They find this, and the episode starts off animated, and they find this like time portal thing, and like they end up like going through it, and the actors who voice them emerge on the other side in the past in live action as their characters, and the crew of the Enterprise has to figure out how to get them back to their time.
This is in Brave New Worlds, or is this in
Strange? This is in Strange New Worlds, and there's a really funny like bit at the end where the crew of the Enterprise, after they've figured out how to send like the lower deck characters back to their time, the crew of the Enterprise drink this like crazy like cocktail that one of the lower decks characters had talked about, and after they drink the cocktail they turn animated. They're like, and Spock's like arm is like all noodly, and he's like, my arm does not normally do this.
Huh.
I'm kind of all over the place in my description. But anyway, yeah, Strange New Worlds and
That's
Lower
fun,
Decks.
though.
Pretty good. Discovery sucks. But yeah, anyway, that's our Star Trek podcast, and that was episode 129 of Too Much Energon. Oh, I just had some time off last week, and I've been talking at length about how like things have been really going well in life for me, like for the past few months, and like.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the span of a week, the week began with us recording the last episode of Too Much Energon, where we got to talk to Gary Chalk,
Pretty good start.
Pretty good start. And I heard from Candace afterward that he had a really good time and he really liked us. So I was like, that's awesome. But after that, the rest of my week consisted of my TV dying. My TV that I bought less than 5 years ago, that died. I went camping and broke my prescription sunglasses that I just got last year.
Oh.
And I also found out that my video card in my computer that I'm sitting in front of right now, won't play anything modern, which is really annoying.
Oh, you've hit the wall. Suddenly it doesn't play anything modern.
Like it won't
Which is weird because you could play Cyberpunk.
I played Cyberpunk on my Xbox.
Right, we've talked. Yeah,
But like I've been able to play like recent games like Control and Death Stranding like no problem. But just all of a sudden, I don't know what it is, but like the new Star Trek game that just came out, Star Trek Resurgence, doesn't run on my computer. Starfield's not going to run on my computer. Baldur's Gate 3 was running at like 20 frames per second
which is weird because there's not a lot going on in Baldur's Gate. Again, great game so far from what I've like played of it. Like we both played it, folks. But I mean, cutting edge in any graphical or visual. I wouldn't describe any of its visual or like graphical demands to be cutting edge.
Right.
But that's just.
It looks like a game from 10 years ago. And I don't mean this by any offense, but it looks like it could have came out a year or two after like Dragon Age Origins. Yeah, and
or indeed, Inquisition, or one of the like. Well, indeed, it's the same. It's the same team.
No, it's not. Dragon Age was BioWare. This is the team behind, I think, the Divinity series.
Oh, I always get. Yeah, it's Divinity Original Sin.
Yeah.
Loved Divinity Original Sin too. Yeah, that wakes me. You know what? In my head, I was thinking of Divinity,
right?
But I said Dragon Age.
Well, and indeed, I had said to you off air that because this was like a week ago when I tried to play it, and you had asked me how it was, and I was like, well, I'm only getting like 20 frames per second at like 720p resolution, so it's barely playable. But I like it so far, and I get like Dragon Age Origins vibes from it. Like it's very much that vibe. Which I'm like, sweet, you don't see a lot of RPGs like this anymore. Another one that's kind of in that vein came out a few years ago called Greedfall, which is pretty good.
That was a sleeper hit, I heard, from the people that actually played it. They really liked it.
Yeah,
people that didn't play it never even heard of it.
Yeah, if you have an itch for like Xbox 360 era like classic RPGs, then like Greedfall like scratches that itch, and so does Baldur's Gate 3.
Nice. Sounds familiar. Do I have that?
That was my week off, so that wasn't supreme. But the universe kind of snapped back, and I got a mysterious deposit in my bank account from the federal government for enough money, and I don't know why.
Bank error in your favor. Collect dividends of.
And I'm not going to say how much it was, but it was enough that I was able to suddenly afford to buy a new, smaller and less expensive TV than the one that I had before, and a new video card for my computer.
Yeah, because you sent me a picture of that, which is it's hard to make equivalencies, but I've got NVIDIA stuff, and Siege runs like Mobos and
I've been an
Radeon.
AMD guy.
Yeah, an AMD guy, and I've got NVIDIA stuff. I have the more evil of the the GPU companies.
Right. Yeah, what I bought was a AMD RX 5700 XT, which is probably
I saw the
pretty.
price of it too, and I was like, "Oh, fuck!
It's from what
It's as
I've
cheap
heard.
as I could find it."
From what I've heard, yeah, it was on sale, so I kind of jumped at buying it because it was regularly, I think, like $800 or $900, and it was on sale for like $579 or something plus
I could
tax.
find them like 650, 645 in some sketchy places here and there, but not under 600. So
Yeah, I think in
pretty
terms
good.
of performance, it's kind of comparable to the like the RTX 3070.
Yeah, I have the 3070 Ti, so they're like almost indistinguishable.
Right.
Maybe for some video rendering things like mine. I don't know enough about computers, but
Right.
pretty comparable. So what we're saying is, I'm gonna play Baldur's Gate together, motherfuckers.
I
The
got a
multiplayer works so fucking good on it.
I got a coworker too who is playing it, and she's been looking for people to play it with her because apparently like no one at work is playing it. And I'm like, well, I just bought it, and I'm like, I took the plunge and like and like was financially irresponsible and bought a new video card. She's like, yes, you need to
Yes.
play.
She's got it on PC.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so I gotta find out what her Steam name and stuff is.
Sweet.
I think you'd like her. She's really funny.
Nice.
But anyway, so yeah, a not great overall not great week off, but the universe kind of rubber banded, so to speak.
The universe finds a way.
Yeah. Sometime life finds a way, and sometime life gets in the way, as I always say.
That's right. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what's new with me. There's something
It
else
didn't
too.
get in the way.
Something
Yeah,
else
what
I
was
wanted to
there?
mention. I can't remember. It might come up in conversation.
So we got a Japanese Beast Wars show here.
Yes, on that note, this is episode 129 of Too Much Energon, and this week, as I mentioned, we are talking about Beast Wars 2nd, Super Lifeform Transformers, Episode 1, The New Forces Arrive. And so
I just watched this,
yeah,
and all I remember is what happened after they landed on Gaia.
so the episode opens with Convoy, soon to become Lio Convoy.
That's right, and he's cruising around looking for bad guys with
Well, there were him and his lieutenant Apache are on these little ships. They're flying toward an asteroid belt because apparently there was a maximal distress call that came from there.
Mm-hmm. I like that they're actually in vehicles in this.
Yeah,
they're just like cruising around in like space jets.
Good. And Lyle Convoy just has like one hand on the steering wheel, and he looks at Apache and he's like cruising down the street in Mas 6 Foe.
Yeah, and Apache's like trying to race him, and their V8 engines are like rumbling, even though it's space for some reason. And Apache wants to beat him there. And right away, it establishes their relationship. Like Apache's very like diehard, very like go get him and kind of screw the rules, vigilante.
Yeah,
kind of second in command.
But it seemed I got the impression here that it was some kind of trap to lure Lyle Convoy and his Maximal squad into this asteroid belt, because like some explosion or something happens.
Something happens, and there's a thing that goes off, and
right.
And
then
Convoy kind of just disappears.
Yeah,
goes missing, because when they cut back to the base, they keep commenting on
where is Convoy.
Yeah, where is he?
But Apache is here, though.
But
I was so confused.
So I was like, I didn't watch it twice, and I feel like I almost like should have, because I'm like, okay, maybe I got distracted. Maybe it was ADHD. Maybe it was whatever. But I swear, it felt like I turned away, and I watched it. I wasn't doing anything else. Turned away and came back 5 minutes later, and Apache's just. By the way, this is so Japanese Beast Wars. Because if you recall when we reviewed the Japanese Beast Wars,
the movie that we
the movie, there were just inexplicable things, like somebody going off to like a lone wolf something, and then in the next shot it would show them back at base.
Yeah.
So I feel like that there's a lot of inexplicable like anime. Just forget about it. Apache got back, but Convoy didn't.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about it. He's just not back. He's missing. Well, go out and find him. I say this in a ridiculous way, but also like a critical way, because I'm like, where'd he go? Why is he gone? He's gone so that he can come back at the end of the episode.
Right. So we go to the planet Gaia, and it's explained to us that the Destrons, I'm going to call them Decepticons, because they turn into vehicles, and one of them is literally Galvatron.
Is it the Galvatron?
You know what? It looks like Transformers Generation 2 Galvatron, which was like a repaint of the G2 Megatron toy, which turned into a tank. And indeed, this guy turns into like a purple and green tank.
It's just Galvatron.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, he's Galvatron.
Yeah,
the Deathcons, is that what they call them?
Destrons, but I'm gonna call
Destrons?
them Destrons.
Yeah, let's call them the Decepticons.
I'm gonna call them the Decepticons, and I'm gonna call the Cybertrons the. I'm gonna call.
Listeners, the Maximals the Japanese Maximals are called Cybertrons.
Yeah. Well, and indeed, in the Japanese G1 cartoon, the Autobots and Decepticons were the Cybertrons and the Destrons.
Yeah.
So that makes, at least with the American Beast Wars show, at least like they have different insignia, and like they're not the Autobots and Decepticons, they're the Maximals and Predacons. I would be, if I was a Japanese kid watching this, I'd be very confused. It's like, why do they have a different symbol if they're just the Cybertrons and the Destrons again?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about it, basically. I feel like we're going to be saying that a lot as we're covering this show. Whatever, forget about it.
Yeah, whatever. Sometimes, Lyle Convoy is hanging out in space with you. Next minute, he's gone. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, though, there's a certain pacing and forgiveness of this that I have that I did not share with the 2021 IDW
comics
Beast Wars comic run.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you why. Like, there's still love here, is what I feel like. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's still...
The show does have charm, I will say.
Yeah. And I think that charm, and it's... its portrayal of the characters feels fun, and it's easy for me to forgive some bullshit. Whereas I guess in the comics that we just finished, it's doesn't feel fun.
No.
Yeah, if you've been listening to us all the way through the comics, you know full and well that even though we had fun talking about it with each other and dunking on it hard, comics are not fun
No,
to
no.
read.
No, I have gone on record on this show before saying they are probably the worst comic books I've ever read, and I've read literally thousands upon thousands of comics in my life.
And you're biased towards Beast Wars.
I wanted to like the comic.
Yeah. Even we had a private convo with a certain guest, kind of like before or after like recording or whatever. And they said that they were initially collecting all the variant covers, and they had like the first like 4-5 issues.
And then she gave up on it.
And then she just fucking gave up on it. And I'm like, and that person loves Beast Wars.
Yeah, we're talking
particularly
about
the art form. We're
talking about Candace. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like if Candace can't like, throw out the $6 or whatever per issue of Beast Wars, then no one is.
Right.
Someone must have bought them all. And so someone provided us with copies of the ones we did buy.
Yes, I can't remember who that is now, but shout out to you. It was someone on Twitter. Actually, I had a couple of people on Twitter reach out and like share links to the comic books to me. So shout out to you guys. So the Decepticons are on the planet Gaia, harvesting the Angle Slam.
Yeah, the Angle Slam makes an all moist makes an appearance. But it's dark. It's dark energy.
The Angle-moi energy.
Angle-moi, not to be confused with is this gonna make a wrestling? Who's that guy? Is this gonna make a wrestling joke and then I immediately forgot the name?
Well, indeed, when I'm calling it the Angle Slam, it's directly in reference to a move done by legendary wrestler Kurt Angle. One of his signature moves was the Angle Slam.
My mind went blank, and earlier when I was watching it, I was like, "Ooh, I should write that down." I just thought of a Kurt Angle joke, and then I forgot it.
Yeah, I was that's why, like, when we were reading the 2000s, the Beast Wars The Gathering and Beast Wars The Ascension, that's why I was calling it the Angle Slam.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I know. Yeah. And to this, again, if you're watching this and you're not a fan of Metal Gear or wrestling or like metal, which are all these like weird demographics that like line up, or WWE, like as soon as like Angle Slam, or I hear like Kurt or something like that, I hear the
oh yeah, his music was
I still fucking hear that, man. Like that's fucking catchy. Whoever
Jim Johnson.
Oh, it's Jim Johnson. Jim Johnson does a lot of the
he did most of the WWF's music at the time. He doesn't anymore. He was let go a while ago. But
and that's why everything we remember is from the old era.
Yeah, a legendary composer. Although he basically made jingles.
Yeah,
like he made jingles,
and they worked, man.
And
I haven't watched WWE in like 20 years, and I remember but Kurt Angle's intro.
Well, and jingles are catchy and memorable for a reason. Like, I mean, start saying, "I feel like chicken tonight," to anyone of a certain age or older, they're gonna get it. Like all the people who are like 40 plus at my work, whenever I reference that, they start doing the stupid like chicken arm thing.
Exactly.
and singing
yeah.
along to it. So like jingles are, they serve a purpose, and Jim Johnson's WWF themes were essentially jingles. Modern wrestling themes try to be more like songs.
Yeah, like theme songs, and it
Yeah.
can like fit, but it doesn't have that jingle quality to
Although
it.
one of my favorite pro wrestling themes in today is MJF in AEW, Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
I'm sure I've heard that. I'm sure I've heard this. I just can't recall it because I don't keep up with it.
Right. There's a
It is-
big AEW pay-per-view coming up this Sunday. All in 2023. It's being held at Wembley Stadium, and it has an attendance rate of over 80,000 people. AEW is doing WrestleMania numbers now. Like, they've gotten huge.
Damn.
Yeah,
Is it Dig Deep? Is that his?
Could be, yeah. It's like kind
Kind of like electronic.
Yeah, kind of.
Oh, here it is.
Yeah,
Okay. I'm digging it.
yeah. His video that accompanies it too is quite hilarious. It's him like making like really smug faces, like just different like still images of him making smug faces.
Yeah. I only again not haven't been following like wrestling for like quite some time. I just know adjacently through you and like Ranger and other people talking about it. And I do know that he keeps kayfabe like
Yeah, like all the time.
all the time. Yeah,
He's got a really good storyline going with he's kind of a face right now instead of a heel. He's got a storyline with Adam Cole where Adam Cole got like paired up with him, and like all of Adam Cole's friends are like, "Oh, he's not really a good guy. Like he's going to betray you." And MJF's like been trying to win him over.
nice.
Like I know I've done bad things, but I've changed, and like they're acting like best buds now, and they have like a world title match coming up at All In this Sunday, and it's looking like the big speculation is that Adam Cole is going to turn heel on him because everyone's expecting MJF to turn heel on Adam Cole.
So what you wouldn't expect is MJF to actually turn heel because that's what you would expect.
Yeah. Or
Spoilers, neither, and they become best buds, and
yeah,
we'll see.
we'll see. Anyway, so back to Beast Wars. So the Decepticons are on planet Gaia harvesting the Angle Slam energy, and a big ass asteroid enters the atmosphere, and it starts breaking away, and you see a Predacon symbol. And it turns out it's a ship, which, per the TF wiki, is called the Galvaberg 2.
Okay.
A Predacon starship commanded by the Emperor of Destruction.
Oh, the Emperor of Destruction.
Yeah, so it's Galvatron. He yeah, I don't know. Anyway, whatever. Who cares? So all of the Decepticons on the planet are like, "Oh, what's that? What could that be?" And so back on the Maximal space station, the Cybertron space station, as it's called, we get introduced to Lio Convoy's ragtag group of Maximals, which includes Apache, Kid, Diver, Bighorn, and Scuba.
I love that he's called Bighorn, but he's not a. He's not
so,
a.
So Bighorn is.
He's not a buffalo yet.
No, but I was gonna say Bighorn is absolutely my favorite character of this show so far. When I was like the guy who does the voice of him is like doing like a Japanese take basically on our trucker Rhinox voice.
I knew that you would like him like right away.
And
so we're watching Blessedly. Somebody has fan dubbed the version we're watching on YouTube.
Fan subbed.
or fan. Was it in English or was it in? I don't even remember now. No, it's in Japanese. Somebody has translated it and given us subtitles, right?
Yeah.
And
so Apache is here mysteriously. Somehow
yeah, Apache's just here. They're all talking
here.
about how Convoy's missing, but they're not doing anything about it. And instead, when they're called in for emergency, they all start bickering about. It's a lot more lighthearted.
Well, Apache is like, well, as as Convoy's lieutenant, I will lead. And Bighorn, who is like weightlifting, like drops his like.
I love that he's weightlifting, but he's a machine. Can we? I wanted to bring that.
There's something on that note that I gotta mention eventually too. Like once they get to Planet Gaia, but
okay,
we'll save it for then.
But yeah, he's lifting weights, and someone else is drinking a whole bunch of beer. Oh, Apache. Yeah. Sorry, he's getting wasted, throwing like crushing cans and throwing them behind him, and I'm like, dude, what the fuck? And he's like, yeah, your old boy Apache's gonna. I'm fine. I'm not drunk. You're drunk.
Pretty much, yeah. And
like, I'm not even kidding. And when Bighorn fucking drops the weights, they slam and almost kill Diver or Apache or something, and because it lands right on the cans next to his head.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, these are not the same Maximals.
Yeah. And so Bighorn is just like, well, I'm not gonna be listening to you over there, you miserable
you stupid drunk.
You can't
well, follow me, guys, if you want to kick ass and take names. Yeehaw, and he just runs out.
I'm gonna be the leader, cause well, I can handle my beer. I can drink 12 more beers than Apache over there has had, and
I can bench the most.
Yeah.
I just did 20 reps and I'm fucking feeling jacked. And he slams his like fucking protein powder and follow me if you're down to fuck. And everyone and Kid and Diver are like, we're down to fuck. And then they all run out. And then when Apache comes to, he's like, okay, as your leader, you all have to. And this is when the comedy of this anime, again, like meant for kids, but like a different like feel, like a different tone. There we go, a different tone. Right. And he's like, and the camera like kind of pans and he's like, oh, nobody's even here. And it puts the whole place goes dark and it shines a spotlight on him as his like shoulders slump.
And you straight up hear a womp womp womp.
And that is what won me over. I was like, okay, I get the tone. I get what this is. I understand.
Right. So they jump in the, what is the name of the ship? The Maximal ship. It's got Yukikaze. That's what
Yukikaze, right?
Yeah, the Yukikaze. So they're flying that to planet Gaia because that's where this like distress signal. That's where the sign of trouble is. Or yeah, they got radioed that the Predacons are up to something over on planet Gaia.
So they were hit by this weird purple
they're being
tube
as they're flying toward planet Gaia. They're being shot at.
Right.
Yeah, they're being shot at by lasers.
So there's this thing that like everything went staticky as if there was a time jump when they were hit by this like purple tube, like ring blast thing.
Right.
And I was like, did they just jump back in time? Like
no,
I didn't worry about it. I didn't know what was happening.
No, they get shot down, and the Yukikaze is like crashing into, is like going into planet Gaia's atmosphere, and the crew all eject.
Yeah.
In what basically look like stasis pods. So the one that we follow Kid, and I'm guessing he's kind of the main character of this show. So
yeah, because he ends up narrating the outro, which in of itself, we'll get to that a bit later, but in of itself is kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, we follow him in his like little journey.
we follow him, and his stasis pod crashes, and he jumps out, and he's like, "Oh, talk about a rough landing," and he gets this like alarm on like this like computer like panel on his arm and he's like, "Oh no, this atmosphere, the atmosphere here is inhospitable," and he looks up at the sun, and he's like, "I'm gonna burn within 3 minutes."
Or I'm not going to be able to. Yeah, the atmosphere and something to do with the sun, and it would be like if we landed on like a planet where we couldn't breathe.
And so he's like, "I need to find an animal to scan." And here's where I was getting at. So apparently the sun is so like hot that its rays will melt a metal robot, but turning into a fleshy filthy organic is hunky-dory.
So I interpreted that again, like fan subbed, right? I interpreted it as the atmosphere and like the UV or like whatever will fry their systems.
Right. Well, he specifically says that like he'll melt.
Oh,
yeah.
I guess I missed. Well, I interpreted that as in like, oh man, I'm gonna become slag. Like,
yeah, fair enough.
Isn't but it really, again, maybe it's lost in translation.
It doesn't
like
make a lot of sense. You can only do
so. It absolutely doesn't. At least with like OG, like Beast Wars, right? You're like, oh, there's a lot of raw Energon here. It's going to destabilize us and put us in stasis lock. So we have to be in these beast modes.
Yeah.
In this, it's just like, fuck, like we're gonna die if we don't.
Sun's too fucking hot.
An animal. Sun's too fucking hot, bro.
Which, I mean, yes, I completely agree with that, but it's weird. So in this case, this podcast really should be called "Too Much Angle-moi."
Too much angle slam.
Yeah, that's basically the crux of it. In the Canadian/American Beast Wars cartoon, the crux of the matter was too much Energon, whereas in this one, it's too much angle slam.
Too much angle. I like the front. Is it angle moise? Is it angle mo? We've made fun of it so much, I don't even remember how it's actually.
It looks like angle moi to me.
Oh man, there's just too much angle moist in the atmosphere. I need my I need my.
Per the TF wiki, it is angle moi.
Angle moi. Angle moi.
Or Angarumoa.
Angarumoa.
Yeah.
I like how the Japanese pronounce it the most. The most.
So yeah.
Angarumoa.
So I'm gonna call it Anglemois.
All right. I'm gonna call it Energon because fuck all y'all. No. Yeah, there's too much like energy, and the Decepticons are sucking it. And much like in Fern Gully, it makes like black smoke and it kills the life around it.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much what's going on. And he's like, shit, okay, I want to be something cool. And he's attacked by what the fuck is this?
It's a Tasmanian devil.
I'll get right. So he's attacked by a Tasmanian devil, oddly specific. And actually, Tasmanian devils were pretty big in the 90s, so forgiven. But what he's trying to do...
I saw Space Jam.
Yeah, that's right. We all saw Space Jam. It's a great snippet. That's a great clip. Fucking yeah. My cousins and my siblings loved my Tasmanian devil impressions, which was just basically just going blah, 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 blah. Right? Like there's nothing to it. What the fuck was I even talking about? Oh, he's like, ew, oh. And Kid is like, fuck that. Oh God, that thing's ugly. Because the Tasmanian devil peeks its head out and like,
He's like trying to scan a bird. So he's like,
I was laughing so hard.
He's trying. He like opens.
There's
up
an eagle, a majestic bald eagle.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, great!
Fuck yeah!
Flying, powerful, strong, predatory, sweet." And he goes to like scan it, and the Tasmanian devil like leaps in front of him, and he's like, "No!" And so he
because you can't just do it again. It's like one.
I was wondering,
you get one shot.
That. It's like, why not just like reformat yourself again? But anyway,
you get one.
So he's now stuck as a Tasmanian, as a Tasmanian devil, and afterward he's like,
he transforms, and he's like, "Oh, fuck you, bud."
And hilariously enough, the Tasmanian devil is like. Looks like he's like laughing, almost like laughing.
He's hiding behind like a rock and like, like it knew what it was doing.
Yeah.
Before this scene or a little bit after, I can't quite remember, it shows Cheetor. For some reason, the others we don't really see. He doesn't go and find a real cheetah. Do you remember how he gets this form?
He
rummages through.
Kid is thinking about like forms that he might want to take on, and one of them is like, I could be like a mighty leopard, and it shows the shot of him basically cosplaying as Cheetor
because he picks up a little toy.
Yeah,
and he's like, I could be something like really cool, like a leopard or whatever. And yeah, it shows a brief moment, and that design looks fucking cool. By the way, it's not real. But like basically he's cosplaying.
That's kind of a sexy Cheetor, I gotta say.
I kind of actually want to screenshot that. We'll put it in the Discord or something like later. But I'm like, oh fuck yeah, that is a cool Cheetor. No, that's just him daydreaming.
Yeah,
like that's looking at a toy and like daydreaming.
Yeah.
So he transforms into a Tasmanian devil. And he follows the other Tasmanian devil because it's like snarling at him, trying to get his attention. And he's like, "You piece of shit." And he goes to track him down.
Like, he says something akin to, I'm not like one of your kind, right, buddy?
He's like, "I know I'm not, I'm not your friend now, right?" Because they cozy up to each other and look off in the distance. And there's this gigantic black plume of like smoke. And he's like, "Oh, fuck. What the fuck is going on there? That's not good."
So he goes to investigate, and he's like, "Oh, if I'm seeing this, the others must have as well." And they probably...
And he's like, "Well, thanks for everything, bud, but smell you later." And I'm like, "Oh, well, I like his attitude, right?" Because at first he's like, "You bastard." But then he's like, "Hey, thanks for the scan. See you later." So they kind of becomes friends with it briefly.
So yeah, he thinks to himself that, if I'm seeing this, then the others must be seeing it too. So maybe I'll run into them along the way.
So if I go there, they'll go there. That's a waypoint.
And he comes to like a river, and he's like, "Oh man, how am I gonna have to swim this?" Like,
I love this. All that's at stake, and this motherfucker it's not that he can't swim; it's that he doesn't want to swim. That's the tone of the show, right? And then this like ugly thing like pokes its head up, and he's like, "Ew, oh fuck, you're ugly." And he's like, "Oh, you're ugly." And he's like, "What, Diver?" And Diver's like, "Yeah, nice form, loser." And he's like, "You're one to talk."
I like how they're just shit talking each other's forms.
They shit talk each other, and they insult each other, and that I think they're both the youngest.
Could be
something to do with that? And he's like, "Hey, give me a ride, ugly. You got to be good for something." And then he continues like shit talking, and when Diver is a frog, by the way.
Yeah,
he's a giant frog. He's giving him a ride over, and as Kid is shit talking him, he's like, "Oh geez, I'm going underwater. Don't make me like tip you." And I'm like, he can swim. He just doesn't want to. And they encounter a
tentacles.
And then they go, I'll never eat. What is it? Calamari and squid again. I'm sorry. And as they just kind of like cover their heads and get ready for death.
Tasmanian Kid is like, "What even are those anyway?" And Diver's like, "I don't know. I just blurted it out."
So they blurt And this is when I was like, okay, I like this, because when you and I are watching the show, we're always making jokes like, isn't it weird that like Cheetor was named Cheetor before they even knew what a cheetah was? Like, oh, luckily Rhinox found a rhino. It'd be super awkward if he was like a horse named Rhinox. Right? They tend to get except Bighorn, tend to get their names, or Tasmanian Kid got his full name. He was just Kid before.
And Scuba, who is the source of these tentacles, who's a giant squid.
Yeah.
His name, like Scuba, that's kind of nondescript. Like
it's nondescript.
He could have turned into a submarine on Cybertron.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm okay with all of their names, kind of more so than OG Beast Wars.
Right.
But I do like the reference, because you know how they'll reference things clearly from Earth on Beast Wars?
Yeah.
I like how in this he's like, oh, I'll never eat calamari or like sushi again. And Diver's like, or Kid is like, oh, what even are those things? And he's like, I don't know, I just blurted them out. That's the writing I like, because there's no reason that they would know what calamari or whatever it is fried squid is.
So we find out that this is this is their pal Scuba. And
I like Scuba. He's weird. I don't know his.
He like grabs onto them, and then like they speed away to get to the other side of the river.
I like that they make a joke, and it's a pun that doesn't translate well, because they're like, hey, it's Scuba, more like Scuba-tastic.
Right.
And Scuba's like, and he starts drowning because the joke is so bad.
Yeah.
And then they go, and he like wakes back up and he's like, oh, sorry, your bad pun almost killed me, or something like that.
Almost
and I'm like,
put me to sleep. Yeah.
Almost put me to sleep. And again, translation, it probably makes sense in Japanese, but there's not really like a play on words. But there's no pun to be made in English, so.
Right.
Scuba, probably the Japanese word for like scuba or like whatever probably goes along with the word fantastic, or there's some play on words there that doesn't translate. But I still thought the gag was funny of him like falling asleep.
Yeah, the punchline translates.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just the pun doesn't.
They're like, now we're traveling in style, because apparently Scuba is like a fucking like jet ski.
Pretty
guy
much,
hauls
yeah.
ass. Yeah. And they get to the other side and they like encounter the like burning forest.
Right. And they run into well, it turns out it's Apache, but what is he? He's some kind of primate.
Yeah, they call him a monkey, and he's like, I'm not a monkey, I'm and he says the exact primate that he is, but Apache Transformers. He is a
blue mandrill.
Mandrill, yeah. So he's like, hey, I'm not a monkey, I'm a mandrill. And if you're watching the cartoon, you recognize that type of ape, but nobody knows the name, well, except the Japanese. And Kid is like, yeah, a monkey is a monkey is a monkey.
Apparently, like, the American, the North American toy of Apache was named Baboom.
That makes sense, because the blue looks like a baboon.
Yeah. I never had the toy for Baboom, but I did have the toy for Bighorn, which you're right. The American version of the toy was called BONECRUSHER.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I had the toy of BONECRUSHER.
I think Bighorn's a better name.
BONECRUSHER. BONECRUSHER sounds like the name of a monster
truck.
Or a pro wrestler in the 80s.
There we go.
Here comes BONECRUSHER. BONECRUSHER's ready.
There we go. BONECRUSHER's ready.
You're going nowhere.
You're going nowhere, kid.
I got you for 3 minutes.
And we, oh, and who's this coming off of the ramp, trying to jump? It's BONECRUSHER! And then fireworks go off in a big green and black, big fucking green and black monster truck, like
flames
goes
like
off a
spewing
jump,
out.
flames spew out the back. There's nothing more. I will argue. People will say it's NASCAR or baseball. No, there's nothing more American than monster trucks.
That's true. Well, there's nothing more like redneck American, I would say.
Yeah, yeah.
Because even around here, like the people that you usually see who go to like monster truck rallies, because we do have them here.
That's a good point.
It's usually like more redneck types.
That's fair.
And yes, people, we have rednecks in Canada. In fact, there are a lot of them in the town that I live in.
Oddly true. Oddly true. But yeah,
Go to certain pubs in the town that I live in, and like on a Friday night, and as soon as a country song goes on, listen to like 3/4 of the bar like lose their fucking shit.
yeah.
And not in the same way that I'm losing my shit, which is in disgust over country music.
So yeah, Apache's like, try that in a small town, and then Kid doesn't listen to him, and he
Cracks
runs
a Bud
into
Light.
cracks a Bud Light, realizes there's rainbows on it, calls it queer, throws it in the garbage, and then smacks right into Bighorn's ass. There's a sentence that's never been uttered in the in the history of.
Well, listen here, buddy. That's not the type of like ass banging you're supposed to be doing after drinking a Bud Light. No siree.
No siree. The jokes just write themselves. So it's revealed this giant ass is actually Bighorn, who is a buffalo, a bison.
I think he is
Bighorn, Japanese.
black bison. Yeah,
A bison. Yeah. Are buffalo bison? Question mark.
I actually have the answer to that.
Oh, okay.
What we call buffalo in North America is actually bison. Buffaloes proper are actually indigenous to China, I think.
Okay, so buffalo are just a type of bison. Am I get?
No, they're what we call buffalo here aren't buffaloes at all.
Okay. They're bison.
Yeah.
But there are buffaloes, but those are water buffaloes. Is that it?
Okay. So
these are important questions, people. We're learning. We try to teach science a little bit on the.
So what we call buffalo in North America is bison, which is a genus of wild cattle.
Makes sense. Okay. But buffalo are different. They're not cattle.
Buffalo, also known as true buffalo or bubalina, which includes the African buffalo, the wild water buffalo, which is native to the Indian subcontinent and Southeast Asia.
Yeah, it makes sense. You always see them in like lakes and ponds and stuff, and they got the big ears that like flop around.
Right.
Yeah,
Despite being sometimes referred to as buffaloes, bison are not members of the bubalina, but are instead classified in the subtribe of bovina.
We got it, folks. So buffaloes are not bison. Bison are a form of cattle.
Yeah.
And buffalo, like the water. There we go. And they're in Southeast Asia.
And the town in New York State.
That's is that where it is?
Buffalo? Yeah, it's in New York State.
Oh, the buffaloes. Yeah. Got it.
No, well, it's a town. Also,
it's also a team.
Also,
it's a sports ball team.
How do you suppose that buffalo fly with those tiny little wings that we eat and covered in hot sauce?
Yeah, they've got the tiniest. How many buffalo do you think have to die for us to get buffalo wings?
I just like to imagine that buffaloes have like dozens upon dozens of these tiny little wings.
Oh, they just got like 100, and they just
They just like flap super fast, and they can
like a
kind of
hummingbird,
levitate.
and they can kind of hover a little bit.
Yeah.
That's why they have to eat so much.
Ugh.
Just like a hummingbird, they have to eat their body weight every hour. So that's why
Right.
when a herd of buffalo come through, your crops are ruined.
Right. Yeah,
I don't even know what we're talking
the
about.
30 to 50 feral hogs ain't got shit on these like floating buffalo. that
Try
we've just
3 to
created.
5 feral buffalo wings.
Gonna need 2 AR-15s for that one.
One in each hand.
Yeah. Just rip your shirt off, like grab 2 AR-15s and start going, ah!
The louder you yell, the more damage your bullets do. You can quote me on that.
Oh god. Anyway, so the
team's all here.
the team's
right?
all here, and they
Well, minus Lio Convoy.
minus Lio Convoy. So they go to the source of this smoke, and they end up finding the Galvaberg 2. And it's
Electric Galvaberg 2, Cybertronic Boogaloo.
I'm probably going to quote that in the episode description.
There we go. Galvaborg 2.
Cybertronic Boogaloo. Yeah, so they go there and are introduced to the Emperor of Destruction, Galvatron.
The Emperor of Destruction himself?
Yeah. Now listen here, brother. They call me the Emperor of Destruction, dude.
Yeah, kind
You're
of.
going nowhere. I got you.
All right, listen here, Maximals. I got you for 3 minutes.
I got you for 3 minutes, Maximals. That's all the time I'm gonna need. You Maximals aren't gonna be maximizing anytime soon, brothers. Playtime's over.
Playtime's over. And they're like, ah, shit. Well, I guess we got to stop them. Sorry, no, they don't choose to stop them at first. There's an earthquake. Right. And they go, what's that? Danger. No shit. And they fall and they accidentally land on the ship.
Yeah.
Yes. And as they're trying to fight they're Decepticons.
Yeah.
Deathcon sound weird. It sounds like I'm saying it with a lisp, which I do have.
Destron.
Deathstron?
No, Destron. Destron.
Destrons
Yeah.
is what they are.
Yeah.
Oh, like destroy.
Yeah.
Destrons. Okay. Huh. So the Destrons, yeah, you're right. Decepticons is just well, they still transform into machines, right? They're Decepticons.
Live at the venue this Saturday night. Come and see Emperor Galvatron and the Destrons play some of their classic new wave hits, such as Angle Slam My Heart.
Angle Slam My Heart and Paralytic Electric Beam. My heart will go on.
Paralytic Electric Beam. Nice. I like that.
Because they're hit by some like fucking like
Blah Blah and the Destrons does sound like the name of like a synth band.
Absolutely, yeah. There's like a synth band that does covers called the Cybertronic
Spree, I think.
Spree. Yeah, that's what they remind me.
Yeah, they're playing in Victoria next month, and I kind of wanted to go, and I asked at work about it, and I'm not going to really go into it, but there's something that's specifically my responsibility that's literally going on that day.
If it's any, my friend, I have a friend that's going, And they're like, oh, you need to go. You have like a Transformers like podcast. And I'm like, here's the thing. Aesthetically, they're definitely my jam.
Their music's quite forgettable.
Like, I understand it's a spectacle and everything, but I'm like, it'd be one thing if they were the Maximals.
Right. See, I just like going to events. Like
That's
I like going to concerts. I'm not big on sports, but I like going to sporting events. Like I don't like hockey. I'll go to a hockey game. I'd love to go to a football game and a basketball game at some point in my life.
I feel you there. Like you like going to hockey games, but you don't watch hockey.
No.
Yeah.
I like events.
Yeah.
In fact, actually, my work gave me because I got here's a tangent. A customer sent in an email just gushing about me and my customer service. Like, it was actually kind of weird. But he described me. He's like, oh, yeah, he's a supervisor there. His name's Christopher. He wears glasses. He looks to be, I believe he's in his mid-40s. And I was like, hey, now.
Hey, now.
But anyway,
go on.
But anyway, my work actually gave me a gift card and passes to what is basically the VIX, basically a local town fair.
Hell yeah.
Pretty much. But yeah, I got free weekend passes for me and my girlfriend from courtesy of my work.
Well, there you go. Exemplary service.
Really impressing this old guy. I just assume he's an old guy.
We can only assume it's definitely not a tourist. They would be slamming you.
We don't negotiate with tourists.
I like that. I think I stole that for the game I was running, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were like, oh, it's probably just like tourists or whatever. And I was like, hey, we don't negotiate with tourists. And I was like, I stole that one from Siege.
Nice.
Yeah. And oh fuck. I wasn't even talking about anything and I said end. Right. The paralytic energy, the paralytic lightning rod. So there's some why can't I remember his name?
I like how we get our own little Beast Wars roll call here.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So they're like, Maximals, metamorph.
Metamorph.
I assume is just a translation issue. I assume they're basically saying maximize. So they're like, and so yeah, we get as I referred to very early on the first episode of this podcast, the Beast Wars roll call. We get a version of that here too.
Hell yeah!
Where it's like Apache maximize, Tasmanian Kid maximize, Diver maximize, Bighorn metamorphosize.
Bighorn's metamorphosizing. Yeehaw! Fuck all y'all.
And immediately they start getting shot at by Galvatrron, the Emperor of Destruction, and his brother, Megastorm.
Oh, right, yeah. Megastorm's his brother.
Yeah. Oh, Megastorm is the one who turns into a tank, right?
Right.
Okay, so I was wrong about that. Whatever. Who cares?
Whatever.
So they start getting shot by all these lasers, and like they're not even trying to like get out of the way.
Dodge or get out of the way. They just like
They're just like taking it and kind of awkwardly like moving around as they're getting shot. And I'm like,
you guys gonna shoot back?
Gonna dive out of the way, shoot back. Are these lasers actually going to like hurt you at some point? Because you're taking a lot of them.
It's an anime thing, yeah.
And then all of a sudden, this big old white lion shows up.
A white and gold lion shows up, and they're like, huh? What is this lion doing? Right, because that's what normal... Oh, by the way, they all know what Earth animals are.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious to me. Like, they're very versed in their biology of this planet they've never been to.
Right.
And they're like, huh? What's this random lion? Who cares? Get it! And without even transforming, it's very clearly Lio Convoy. He just like kicks most of their butts in like lion form and like destroys the paralytic lightning rod, the paralytic lightning beam with his tail, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah. And he's got blades that come out. They're I think they're supposed to be like claws, but they're straight up blades that come out of his paw.
That come out of his paw, and then he frees everyone else, so they get a chance to like show off their attacks. And there's like a little animation for all their different attacks. Diver like shoots like bubbles and makes it hard for them to see. Bighorn has like his horns grow big and he shoots like lasers out of them.
Bighorn has horns that grow big.
They grow big. Yeah. One of them shoots missiles and just plays like an animation.
It's a good thing his name wasn't Smallhorn.
I know. Then the laser would only go like 5 feet. Maybe he wouldn't even be able to make a laser.
So this big old lion signals to them, kind of gestures to like jump down and like
to retreat. Yeah.
To retreat. And Apache is like, everyone follow that lion. For some reason. And Bighorn's like, hey, I'm not listening to you.
And as they all run off to follow that lion for some reason, he's like, what? Hey, I'm alone. Oh, wait for me. It reminds me of in Beast Wars Part 2 when Megatron was like, I've decided I want to live. And he just like gets up and jumps away. He just like looks around.
That I want to live. Oh, that actually, there's another tangent I can kind of go on. I started watching Beast Wars with my new girlfriend recently, and we've been doing this so long now, I can't separate the show from this podcast at that point. So as I'm watching it, like I'm referencing, like just out loud, like
too much Energon
jokes that we've made on this podcast, like I've decided that I want to live. I can't separate them anymore. I can't take. I love the Beast Wars cartoon, but in a way, like I just can't take it seriously anymore in the way that I used to.
Well, we also notice things that we definitely wouldn't have noticed if we weren't analyzing it and reviewing it. Right. Like that one last hurrah, right? Because we had decided very early on that like Megatron wanted a poetic death. And then when he realized no one else was gonna blow up in the cave with him, oh yes, I've decided that I want to live. Yes. And he just jumps off the cliff. That's what I get from Bighorn here. He's just like,
I should
wait for me.
I'm in the midst of making a new intro for the podcast right now. I should put that soundbite in there because I don't think I have yet.
That's a good one.
Anyway,
and then, yeah, so he does live. He gets shot though, like he's holding his ass as he like jumps away because like missiles and lasers are hitting him. And there's a comical shot of him like leaping off the ship as explosions are happening behind him, much like Megzy jumping off of the volcano as it's exploding. And they get away and they're like, who is this valiant lion that saved us?
Find out next week. Stay tuned for a sneak preview of the next episode of Beast Wars 2nd.
Does he not change? Do they leave that as a cliffhanger?
They leave it as a cliffhanger. And then we get this thing with Apache being like, so kids, let me introduce you to our team. And he starts like explaining like,
yeah, it's narrated by Kid. Yeah,
it's narrated by right, it's Tasmanian Kid, right? It's narrated by him, and he's like explaining who everyone is and like talking about their personalities and like they're like, oh, they have this good quality, but they have all these bad qualities.
And he's
too.
like, and Diver's like new.
I don't really know
he
him
has
super well.
He has potential, but he's just good in the water, pretty much. But like even in that aspect, I'm still better than him. He has a lot to learn. And when it comes to Scuba, I don't know very well, and he's mysterious to me. But we'll see.
Yeah,
but yeah, he kind of like shit talks everyone. And then he's like, and then it's like me, Tasmanian Kid. I'm something of a future hero myself. Sure, I might be rough around the edges, but
You know, I'm something of a beast war myself.
I'm something of a beast war myself. So the show's very clearly going to be and Tasmanian Kid says some Tasmanian Kid bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm here for it, and I wasn't expecting to be. So
I saw a post on Reddit recently where that was titled "Cheetor says some Cheetor bullshit," and I'm like, hey, wait a minute, that's one of our phrases. And I go and like, there's people talking about our show, and I was like, oh
yeah, they actually like mentioned.
Yeah,
they're like, oh, there's like, a podcast that I watch, Too Much Energon, that routinely says Cheetor says some Cheetor bullshit. Yeah.
I was like,
oh, hey,
sweet. Anyway, that was on that's the episode, and that was episode 129 of Too Much Energon. Here on Too Much Energon, we rate episodes of Beast Wars comic books, movies involving Beast Wars characters, board games involving Beast Wars characters,
video games involving Beast Wars characters.
Not yet, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
Maybe this year's holiday special. It's kind of what I'm thinking.
Oh.
And now, episodes of Beast Wars' second Super Lifeform Transformers on the Too Much Energon scale, which ranges from not enough Energon to a sufficient amount of Energon to too much Energon. It's basically bad, okay, good. Cal, what are you rating Beast Wars' second Super Lifeform Transformers, Episode 1, The New Forces Arrive?
So the first half for me was like kind of nonsensical anime bullshit, was kind of sitting meh for me. But the comical shit with Kid ending up as a Tasmanian devil, and him running into the others, and the roll call, and the humor is what saved it. And you know what? That kind of pushed it into like a too much Energon for me. Like it was actually thought some of it was like funny. Yeah, it would have, if it had the same tone as like the first half, I would have just been like, okay, that's a typical like anime. But no, it found its legs, and so being too easy. Yeah, I don't know. I'm somewhere in between.
I'm gonna give it a high sufficient amount of Energon. It's funny. It's very childish, but it's funny.
Very childish.
It has charm. And I was really bored for the first like few minutes. Where I really started to like come around was the Tasmanian devil just leaping into frame, and then afterward basically like hiding behind a rock being like fuck you.
That is when I knew that understood the tone. Yeah.
So for me,
right in between, it's really hard.
For me, it's not quite too much Energon, but it's a very high sufficient.
I think we're both. Yeah. Too much Energon means it's good. Like it's great. Yeah. It's a very high, sufficient amount of Energon for me. It had a lot to set up. It didn't really explain like a lot, but I mean that's anime that tries to move fast.
Why is Apache going from suddenly going from an exploding asteroid belt to back at the Cybertron space station, but Lio Convoy isn't for some reason?
We don't know. Why aren't they looking for him?
Yeah.
Who knows? But and why is he even here? He wasn't on the ship. He wasn't with the but it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. But yeah, it's sounds like it's a unanimous sufficient amount of Energon from us.
All right. And on that note, that once again, that was episode 129 of Too Much Energon. Best way to support the show is to go to patreon.com/lasercomb, LAZORCOMB. We're at the single $5 Gary tier. You get a Patreon exclusive podcast, the Super Lasercomb Patreon Super Show, the occasional commentary tracks, and a whole bunch of archival content. Also, the ability to pick a show for us to review a random episode of on our other podcast, the Lasercomb Podcast. So if you want to get in on that, go to patreon.com/lasercomb. Follow me on Instagram or Threads, an Instagram app, at Christopher Siege. Cal, where can people find you?
I'm all over the place. I'm NeoCal on Blue Sky.
You got into Blue Sky?
I'm in.
I haven't been able to. I signed up for I added my name to the list like a year ago, and still nothing.
I know that you can get in with an invite or with the list. I don't know how people get invites. I don't know if I'll get an invite, but after I figure it out, I'll let you know.
All right, because I do want to use
posts already have more likes than they did on the app formerly known as Twitter.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, I'm on Threads at Calhalla, Kalhalla. Same thing with like Instagram. I haven't posted on Instagram in like 2 years. Just like pictures of flowers and food. So I don't know.
I post on Instagram quite a bit.
But yeah, TikTok at NeoCal as well. I should do some Transformer joke TikToks. I like TikTok because it's low energy. I don't need to commit
to
like, an entire Sunday afternoon to just, make a TikTok with a filter.
It's not a podcast, is what you're saying.
It's not a podcast, is what I'm saying.
We'll be back next time with the next episode of Too Much Energon, episode 130, where we're going to be talking about Beast Wars 2nd, Super Lifeform Transformers, episode 2, White Lion, Run!
Lion, Run.
And until then, I've been The Siege, one of your hosts.
And I'm Neo Convoy, your other host.
And until next time, Metamorph!
Metamorph!
Bye-bye.
諦める人にはなりたくない持ってる力を試してみたいんだそういう気持ちを捨てないで人の評価気にしてちゃ何もできないちゃ夢のいる場所を目指そう未来がほら輝いてるぽゆすごく眩しいきっと泣きたくなる暗闇も星が光るためにあるよぽゆ